Do you wish that all things wealth and finance were much easier to understand and not presented by a bunch of beige cardigan-wearing geeks? Welcome to the Clever Investor Podcast, where we're dishing up the easiest to understand finance program served in bite-sized chunks, so your brain will thank you as your knowledge grows. Hosted by the brilliant Owen Taylor, a multiple award-winning expert with a glorious knack for explaining the complex world of wealth in the simplest of ways.
Hey clever investors, and welcome to another show. Let me start this week's show by admitting something. I'm completely obsessed with motorbikes. I first rode a motorbike when I was probably about 6 years old, and I haven't stopped riding them since then. In my younger years, I raced bikes, and to some great success as well, eventually moving on to becoming a professional motorcycle riding instructor. Part of why I want to build wealth is so I can build a massive barn on a massive block of land, buy more motorbikes, and spend my ever-greying years restoring, riding, and racing bikes. Now, just like wealth creation, a large part of motorcycle training is having a plan. Part of being a rider training instructor was for me to show people how to take the fright from your ride. Here are some of the fundamental principles that parallel between these two worlds. Look where you want to go. When we're steering a motorcycle, you will head wherever you are looking. Look where you want to go is the most common thing I've said to all levels of riders when I've been training them. Now, the same thing goes for us in investing. It's all about having that plan that we've talked about and sticking to it. Now, you're going to build this plan, as I've said many times before, with the team of wealth experts. Make sure you print it out. Some people like to put it into like a vision board. And the idea of having this printed out in front of you is so you're not going to get caught up in the BS of the media headlines that potentially could distract you. Yes, it takes longer to build wealth than when I'm zipping around corners on a motorbike, but that's even more of a reason to keep looking in the right direction all the time. Prepare for the worst and you'll never be surprised. On motorbikes, this covers looking around your environment and wearing your safety gear because Lady Luck's a bitch and gravel rash and broken bones take weeks and weeks to recover from after any type of slide, and I unfortunately speak from experience. Now, I've never intended to fall off and I never want to again, but I'll still wear the appropriate safety equipment. I think it's part of my personal protection plan. It also helps me with confidence on the bikes. It's like a mental insurance. Now, in the wealth creation space, we want to ensure that should the brown stuff hit the fan, we're protected and able to recover. So this is where we look at the various types of insurance. Income protection, building, landlord's insurance, they're all there to cover the unexpected. And just like my rather expensive riding gear, you need to regard this as a necessary expenditure for the long term. Look for the obvious dangers. Unfortunately, so many bike accidents on the road are caused by the rider putting themselves into the dangerous situation that could have been avoided in the first place. Cars doing U-turns or not looking for a bike next to them are two of the most common. On a bike, we need to ask the question to ourselves, do they know I'm here? We can help the situation by sometimes slowing down, and slowing down helps gather more information, or we can even move within our lane on a motorcycle. And we know this as a buffer zone. Same thing with finance and investing. If you're not 100% sure of the situation, if you don't have to just run away from it to start with, you need to start asking questions. Get whoever it is across the table from you to explain what's happening, what's going on. And as I've said before, if they can explain it to you like you're a 12-year-old, you've probably got a great expert sitting across the table. At the same time, don't be scared to move away from the dangers. Time and space. We've all heard of the 3-second rule. If you have the time and the space around you, you can pretty much overcome any issue. On a bike, we make sure we're not following the traffic too close. So here's the scene. You're traveling along at 80 kilometers an hour, and you've only got a 2-second gap between you and the car in front. And we all like to get close to the vehicle in front, don't we? It makes it feel like we're getting home quicker. But the car in front jams on its brakes. Bright red brake lights fill your eyeballs, and the noise of the tyre squeals fills your mind. Now, the first second is taken up with your brain assessing the situation and telling the various parts of your body what to do. But do you know that in that 1 second, you've travelled 22.2 meters, and so far, you've done absolutely nothing. By the time your brain and body start moving, you've now got 1 second of space remaining. And most of that is going to be taken up with you wishing you planned these things a little bit better and probably uttering the words, oh, shh. Time and space in property are working backwards from due dates, such as settlement timelines. A large part of being prepared is having a great team helping you, such as your mortgage broker. Now, mortgage brokers are not miracle workers, and when they ask for some paperwork or sign this or cancel that credit card, they're trying to keep you in that safe space with time to get it all done. Make sure you listen to them. Have an exit plan. This has happened to me quite a few times over the years. Something has happened on the road ahead. Invariably, it's nothing major, and while I've stopped well clear of it, I take a quick look in the rear vision mirrors, and it shows me that the truck behind isn't looking too good. So rather than be flattened by the truck and being on such a very nimble vehicle, I'll quickly exit maybe to the left, sometimes up the curb and into a much safer base. In property, we know it's a long-term plan to hold the investment for at least 10 or 15 plus years. But something might happen and we might need to sell it sooner. By holding a well-researched property from the beginning that's going to always be desirable to the biggest market, as in the owner-occupiers market, we're mitigating our risks. Now, I've seen this with clients that have bought inferior properties, studio apartments, or defence housing properties. When it comes time to sell or even refinance, the market conditions around those type of properties are often unfavourable because the issues with financing these type of properties is the same for people buying and the same for people selling. Don't paint yourself into a corner. Knowledge is power. Education builds skills, and with bikes, a safety course will teach you the correct techniques in a controlled environment. You'll learn the appropriate actions to take in unpredictable riding situations if they should ever arise. So many of the situations that I've taught might never actually happen out there on the road. This is a similar story with the education courses that I run as part of Blue Wealth Properties Academy. A good, well-rounded knowledge base will take the fright out of your wealth creation. And as you might already know, fear is not a motivator, it's a suppressor. I'll see you next week on another edition of the Clever Investor Podcast.
You have been listening to the Clever Investor Podcast, proudly sponsored this week by Blue Wealth Property. Are you ready to start a new investment journey? Get in touch with the industry leaders, Blue Wealth Property. Blue Wealth have a proven track record in using research to identify growth markets, and Blue Wealth have supported thousands of Australians to buy the right property in the right market at the right time. Go to bluewealth.com.au.